Pleased to be joined by Kansas players. To my far left, Mitch, and to my immediate is Svi Mykhailiuk. At this time, we'll take questions. Please raise your hand, and we'll get right to you. First contestant here on the aisle.
Hey guys, when you look at Seton Hall on film, what players jump out at you as priorities for you guys to defend?
We'll start with Mitch first.
For the big guys, I think Delgado and their other four men, they're very active and they're good on the block. So we got to figure out a game plan for them.
Sweep.
Yeah, like me said, Delgado and all their guards are really good players. I think all of them average like from 14 to 18 points a game, and everybody can shoot. And I would say it's going to be hard to guard them.
On the aisle here, left side.
David Lawrence, Jayhawk Radio. Svi and Mitch, this team's very physical. These kind of teams have caused us problems from time to time throughout the year. Can you just talk about being ready to take on a physical team that gets on the offensive glass?
Mitch?
I think it just starts on defense. You got to lock in on defense, understand scouting report. The coaches give us a great plan on how to defend them and how to guard them. Just got to come out there and be confident. It's kind of like a West Virginia team where they're really physical. They get after you on defense, so you got to be under control and know what to do and when to do it.
Sweep.
Yeah, definitely got to be ready on the defensive end, especially on the boards. So we got to just come prepared for a game, be tough, and just show what we can do.
Other questions out there? Back row on the right, then we'll go over to the left side. Yeah.
For both of you guys, Seton Hall talked about how they've seen a lot of you guys on TV. Some of them have even said they sort of had a scouting report on you guys before they got here. Just curious how much you knew about Seton Hall before you got here, and if you had seen them at all on television.
Start with Mitch first.
Yeah, I've seen them before. They played Tech, and I've seen that game, and then they played Villanova. They played both of those games really well, beat Tech, and just we're watching a lot of film with the coaches right now and becoming even more familiar with them, so that's a priority of ours.
Yeah, like me said, they beat Tech early in the year, and I think they lost to Villanova in overtime. So we were watching the games, and especially the game they played yesterday. So, they're a really good team, and, during the year, we watch some games on TV, and it's not like we don't really know who they are. Like, we know, but...
On the left side.
Jackson Schneider, KJHK. Mitch, yesterday in the second half, you really seemed to go after it on the glass. Can you just talk a little bit about what was going through your mind and maybe what led to that?
I think we needed that presence. The first half, I didn't do it as well as I wanted to. So I got out there, realized every ball that comes off the rim is an opportunity for me to get it. So try to get as many as I could and help us win.
Going to stay on the left side.
Mitch, on the same theme, can we pull back just a little bit and look at a little bit of a larger picture? And would you tell us about what you faced this season, perhaps unexpected responsibilities and time with roster situations, then late with an injury? What have you dealt with, and what's your self-assessment about how you've done it?
I think it's been a blessing in disguise for me, opportunity for me to come into a bigger role and play a bigger part of this team. Helping out replace Doak. Obviously being only 1 or 2 bigs there for a little bit until we got Silvio. So it was a big opportunity, and I think I've done a pretty good job of embracing it.
We have a question on the right side.
Greg Eklund for Kansas Public Radio, and this is for Mitch. Without the obvious physical presence of Doak, and for all but 3 minutes yesterday, you've played 4 games now without him. How much is KU a different team without him?
Obviously, he's a huge part of our team. It's a different look when he's not out there. He's a low post presence. He's a beast. So having him in there more is obviously a priority of ours. I know he's working super hard to get back as fast as he can, and but when he's not out there, we try to set more ball screens and get our guards going downhill, and then me and Silvio try to clean up the glass and get easy points here and there.
We're going to go to the left side here, and then we'll come back to the right aisle here.
Svi, can I ask to follow up on the question that I asked Mitch about his assessment? What's his teammates' assessment? Would you guys be in this position if he hadn't stepped up like he did when you guys needed him to?
He did great, especially in the Big 12 tournament. Him and Sylvia, they both they came up really big. They helped us win games, and like you say, it's a kind of different look without Doak. But you know, we just had to adjust. And right now, I think we're playing pretty good. Like all the guards are aggressive, and I think it's pretty hard to guard if you know all the guards are aggressive, and we just moving the ball pretty fast, getting open shots.
Go to the aisle here on the right back row.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. What do you think about Seton Hall makes them dangerous, and what makes them a threat to you guys tomorrow?
We're going to switch it up. Start with Sweep first, then Mitch.
Okay.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
What do you think it is about Seton Hall that makes them dangerous and makes them a threat tomorrow?
I would say they're shooting the ball pretty good, and like I said, all the starting five averaging like from 13 to 18 points. So they definitely everybody can score, and everybody can shoot all the guards. So I would say they're like kind of like us, like all the guards can shoot, all the guards are aggressive, and you know it's going to be a pretty fun matchup for us.
Mitch, same question.
Like Svi said, they have great guard play, and they also have great big guys. So it's a combination. We got to really lock in and understand scouting report because they're a great team.
Still have about 5 minutes left to go to the left side on the aisle.
Svi, you and Devontae have been pretty consistent hitting the three-point shot, but recently LeGerald and Malik have really come along. Can you just talk about, you know, potentially how good that can make you and what it's like when you have those other guys joining in with you and Devontae knocking them down?
I would say just making the game easier because if everybody can shoot on the floor, we just need to beat our man and just trying to find the open man, because when you beat your man, you just pass into an open guy, then they got to help. So we just got to move the ball to the open man. And, you know, if everybody shoot like everybody shoot right now, it's going to be really hard to guard because you got to help, and it's going to be open shot no matter what.
Other questions out there? Go on the right side by the aisle.
With their offensive rebounding, how much of a focus is that for you guys, and do they remind you of any other team you've faced in that regard?
Start with Sweep.
I think Mitch was saying earlier they remind us of West Virginia, and they really rebound the ball really good. They have a big guy. I think like he averaged like 13 rebounds. So you know, we just gotta show how tough we are, and you know, box out every time. Like the guards gotta help Mitch and Silvio, and just to box out, because I don't think everybody going to glass like little point guards. So they just gotta come inside and just help him to rebound.
Mitch?
Yeah, West Virginia. They do a great job getting to the glass, and that's a focus of ours. Everyone's got to box out. We're just got to find a guy to get to box out, and I think if we do that, we can do pretty good on the boards.
Other questions? Okay, go back to the aisle here.
Mitch, you and Doak and Silvio seem to really cheer for one another, which isn't that uncommon, but you seem to have a genuine, you know, supporting cast with each other. Can you just talk about that?
I think with us three, it's not who does good, but if we do good as big guys, I think we each want to see each other do well. When you see Silvio do so good against West Virginia in the tournament game, me and Doak are sitting there cheering him on, and then I played pretty good last night, and then they're just sitting there cheering me on, and I think we all really care about each other and want to see each other do well. So if the big guys are doing good, the Jayhawks are winning, and then we're all happy.
Any other questions? Okay, guys, we'll let you go. Thanks. Best of luck tomorrow. Again, the Kansas locker room still open. We'll have Coach Self up here shortly. At 2:20, we're scheduled to have Seton Hall student athletes, followed by the Seton Hall head coach. At 3:10, we will have Houston student athletes and head coach, and we will conclude today with Michigan starting at 3:55. Again, tip-off for the first game tomorrow, 6:10 local time. Michigan game will follow 30 minutes after the conclusion of the Kansas-Seton Hall game. Okay, we're happy to be joined by Kansas head coach Bill Self. At this time, Coach, let's get your assessment on tomorrow's opponent, Seton Hall.
Well, they're good, and certainly we saw that yesterday against NC State, and they can score the ball. They got four guys, I guess, averaging between 13 and 18, and you know, have probably the best rebounder in the country. In addition, so they're really good. They're very well coached, and you know, come from a terrific league in which they played the best multiple times this year. So we know they'll be very prepared.
At this time, we'll have questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone holder right to you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
That's all they waited for, Coach.
Bill, last night, I'm sure they have been all year, but they're very physical, great offensive rebounding team, which at times this year has caused us problems. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, that's obviously going to be one of the keys to us having some success is being able to neutralize them on the glass because they are a terrific rebounding team on both ends, but you know, we haven't been a great defensive rebounding team for the most part, the vast majority of the year. So that'll be a big key in trying to neutralize them because on paper that would obviously be a strength for them.
Saw a raised arm in the background, back row there. Somebody have a question? Yeah. Okay, in the back on the right side. Go ahead.
Bill, could we have our daily Doak update?
The daily Doak update, he practiced today. We went for an hour, and he was out there the majority of the minutes and actually looked pretty good. You know, timing may be off a little bit in conditioning, but we certainly, unless there's some form of setback, we certainly anticipate him being available tomorrow in a way that you can actually play him to try to win the game. You know, it may not be 25 or 30, but we should get some competitive minutes out of him that hopefully will definitely help our team.
Stay on the right side on the aisle here, Coach. There you go.
You mentioned Delgado. He has 21 double-doubles on the season. What threat does he pose to your team?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, he could put, you know, another reason why Doak's important is because, you know, he could put the, you know, entire team in foul trouble. You know, you go from 10 to 15 fouls if we're able to play our full complement of guys. But you know, he can shoot. He's a terrific passer. He's a great, one of the best passing bigs we've gone against all year, and you know, he's a workhorse. I mean, he never quits trying to wedge or get, you know, position for rebounds, and he certainly, you know, he's a professional rebounder. He knows how to read a ball coming off a rim. He knows how to wedge. He knows how to create space, and you know, there's few, if any, that do it any better than him. So, you know, he'd pose a problem for anybody.
Okay, go on the right side of the aisle here, and then we'll go in the back. Yeah, thank you.
Malik in the locker room compared Seton Hall to West Virginia. Is that a comparable team matchup for you guys?
Probably of the teams that we played, yeah, maybe from a physicality standpoint. You know, you look at Delgado. Could he be comparable to Konate, even though they're different skill sets and everything? But you know, inside presence and their guards are very physical, much like Carter and Miles. So I'd say that's fair. The way they go about doing their business is different, but I think from a physical standpoint, they certainly kind of look that role.
You stay on the left on the plaid in the aisle there, sir. Oh, change mine? Okay. Well, we go to Greg.
Greg Eckford, Kansas Public Radio. In looking at the path that it took to get here, in a way, do you feel that there's something in common between KU and Seton Hall because of the leagues that you play in and the schedules that you play in a 10-team league?
You know, I hadn't thought about that, but I bet you could ask Kevin. He'd tell them that their league is. I mean, think about that. They played. I don't know about the tournament. Did they play 5 games or 4 games against four games against number 1 seeds? I mean, that's more than we've done. And our league was a gauntlet, and their league's obviously a gauntlet. And how many Big East teams got in? 6 out of 10, and we got 7 out of 10. So yeah, I would say it's very comparable. You know, I look at them and you know, compare them to teams that we played. And if you look at them in our league, they would fare very well in our league, without question. You know, and you know, the way that we won the league this year, there were so many close games that came down to 1 or 2 possessions. I mean, Seton Hall would be a team that could easily compete for our championship in our league.
Right side, there we go. And then we'll go right next to you afterwards.
Mitch had a pretty good game yesterday, but coming up against Delgado, just how do you see him being able to affect the game compared to Delgado's size?
You talking, who'd you say?
Mitch.
Mitch? Mm-hmm. Well, he's not going to based on size. I mean, he's going to have to play smart, playing before he catches it. You know, Mitch is a really good athlete, and he's a quick twitch athlete, and he's going to have to be really bouncy and energetic and you know, play very smart. And you know, just do what Mitch doesn't have to. The way that the best chance for us to win is not for Mitch to have more points and rebounds than Delgado. That won't be our game plan. That's not how we play. But if he can just not allow him to have a big day or a big night in the time that he's in there, that would be a huge bonus for us.
Okay, stay in the same row right there on the aisle.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Bill, I'm sorry if you got asked this already. What's the status of Udoka, and how, you know, he played 3 minutes yesterday in the first half. What can you expect out of him tomorrow?
He practiced today, and he went probably 80-90% of the time today in our 1-hour practice. So unless there's some setback, we're anticipate using him and having him be part of the game plan. And you know, whether or not he can play more than 3 minutes at a time from a conditioning standpoint. We think that, barring any unforeseen things happening, that he could be a guy that could be out there 15 or 20 minutes tomorrow.
Left side in the corner there. Go ahead.
Coach, back to Mitch real quick. Could you just comment on what he's meant for you and this team over the course of the season with a lot of fluctuation at the big spot and his steady work there, his attitude?
Well, his attitude is a 10, and he works his tail off. And but the thing about it is that Mitch is a type of guy that all good teams have that give them a chance to win, because he hasn't played his natural position, one possession this year. He's not a 5-man. He's a prototypical 4-man. That's what we recruit him as. And here we are asking a guy that weighs 210 pounds to be our anchor, especially when Doak's out and that kind of stuff. So he's handled everything great, considering that he hasn't probably been utilized in a manner that would benefit him the most.
Other questions? Going on the right side on the aisle.
Just talking to the players, several of them referenced West Virginia in regards to Seton Hall. Is that a comparison you would make? I just, in the context of it, we were asking about Seton Hall has good size across the board. They're a physical team, so how would you assess that?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I don't think their styles are exactly the same, obviously, but you talk about physical guards, they both have it. You talk about an anchor 5-man that's physical, they both have that. So I think there are some similarities with that. I really believe that Seton Hall guards, when you look at it, they're even though West Virginia shot the ball unbelievably great in the tournament and terrific against us, their guards did. But I mean, these guys, you'll have 3 out there at all times that can stretch it at any point in time, which makes them pretty skilled.
Left side.
Bill, your senior guards have been consistent throughout most of the year, and now LeGerald and Malik seem to be on an uptick. Can you just talk about how that makes it different for teams to stop you having 4 guards that are playing like that?
Early in the season, we were better offensively than we were the vast majority of it. I mean, the ball was moving, and we had 4 guys shooting above 40% from 3, probably up until Christmas or close to it. So we've seen we're much harder to guard when it's equal opportunity, and I felt like during league play we had a couple individuals not play quite as well, so Devontae took more shots, more low percentage shots, into clock plays and things like that probably gave us the best chance to win, but wasn't good for visibly for the eye as far as are we playing as well as we possibly can. And Doak's gotten better, so I do agree with you. We got 4 guys that can stretch it, and when Doak's healthy, you got a big guy you can play around and certainly isolate him on the post, which makes us a hard guard. Here of late, the guards really have had to play well because we haven't had a big guy we can throw it to and isolate in the post. Even when Silvio got 16 against West Virginia, they were off angles, they were off tip-ins, they were off plays that others made, and so certainly our guards have had to step up during that time.
Okay, now we go to the aisle here.
Coach Jack Nadeau, KJHK. For last night's performance, at least we saw a little less of Malik than we did in the Big 12 tournament. What would you like to see him do more to kind of get back to those performances?
Yeah, we saw what he do, go for 2 from 3. And so, Penn does a good job. We only took 17 threes, and I know at halftime, I think Evan asked me about all the threes that we were taking and the poor shots. They were. But we didn't take that many of them. We just didn't get very many good looks. And so I bet Malik only got 1 good look yesterday. So I believe that he didn't, he also played out of foul trouble, only played 28 minutes, still got double figures. So, yeah, I mean, we can't expect him to get 20 every night, but I thought he was pretty effective. I don't think anything happened yesterday to certainly take away any confidence or anything like that.
Front row on the aisle.
Sorry if this was asked. I just came in. Aside from Delgado, when you look at the film, what other players of Seton Hall jump out at you as difference makers?
Well, they're all their starters are really good, but when you got Carrington and Rodriguez and Powell that can all stretch it like they can, and you know, they can score in other ways. You know, Rodriguez can be a power player in post. We haven't gone against very many guards that can do that, and Carrington is so fast. You know, he can get the ball downhill really well, and you know, Powell to me is like instant offense. He can make 4 and 5 minute stretch and totally change the whole complexion of the game. So I really like their personnel and their experience, and they've been there and they've done it, and they've been through a lot together. They seem to be very tough and connected. So their perimeter is very good, and then of course they're playing around, you know, arguably as good a rebounder and one of the best low post players in the country.
Any other questions here? Okay, we'll go back to the right side, and then we'll get you second, Greg.
Mitch obviously played quite a few minutes in the game, and Silvio didn't play as much. Is this a type of matchup that maybe doesn't fit Mitch as much with the physicality they have?
You know, I don't know, Danny. You could say that. You could say on the surface, like West Virginia, I thought Silvio was definitely a better matchup with Konate. So you could say that on the surface, but you know, Seton Hall will also sub a pick and pop guy, and so there's going to be opportunities for them both to be out there. I really just felt like that Mitch was better yesterday and gave us the best chance than Silvio did the vast majority of the minutes. But it wasn't that Silvio did anything wrong. I just thought Mitch played a little better, just like I thought Silvio played better in the Big 12 tournament.
Obviously, you've been, because of circumstances, caught in a numbers game with your bench. As you get deeper in the tournament, how much is the bench a concern?
It's not. If we're healthy, it's not. There's a lot of people who like to go 8 deep, and with the emergence of Silvio, I feel like we can. And so, you know, even though the one thing with our bench that we haven't been able to do, we haven't been able to play different ways. We haven't been able to play small and big. Because we haven't had time to practice and all these things. So we are who we are. We're not going to change from this point forward. But I do think the emergence of Marcus and certainly the emergence of Silvio with a healthy Doak, I think there's a lot of teams out there like to have a rotation of 8. And I think that's plenty this time of year, as long as injuries or, you know, foul problems don't creep up.
Okay, staying on the right in the back row. There you go.
Coach, last night you became the winningest coach in Kansas history in the tournament, tying Roy Williams. Just want to ask if you could comment on that accomplishment, what it means for you.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I did not even remotely know that. So I don't really look. You know, you coach at a place as long as I have, 15 years, and I think Roy was here 15 years too, and you have as many good players as what we've had and as many good teams. You should win some games, and so I don't look at that as a monumental thing at all. You know, I hope you know, by 8:30 tomorrow night we would have passed him, but to me that doesn't even register on the care meter at all.
Any final questions for the coach? Well, thank you very much,
Okay.
Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Seton Hall student athletes scheduled to join us approximately 2:20. So I got the next 2 teams. You gotten those okay?